story of the day, at least as far as global markets is concerned, is a kind of manic Monday. The day, at least in India, started with fears of this entire crisis and conflict between Russia and Ukraine once again going nuclear. And we saw the markets plummet on opening trade. Crude, meanwhile, touched a scary $130 per barrel, though it has receded from those levels to about $120, $121 per barrel. But the concerns continue. Through the day, though, some glimmer of good news, at least on the conflict front, with Russia announcing a ceasefire in certain corridors for safe evacuation of citizens. But no signs so far that this conflict is anywhere near resolution, and that continues to worry investors. It's being seen on the Wall Street as well as it opens. The Dow Jones down about 145 points, 146 points, close to 0.5% down. S&P 500 also down in the red. The Nasdaq slightly in the green in this morning's trade. But overall, that uncertainty continues with a seesaw of sorts on the kind of news that is coming in at this point. But the real story to talk about is what is happening with crude oil. Brent touched $130 a barrel. So those concerns remain. It's eased off a bit since then, but the story isn't looking too positive for oil, at least. Abhishek Kumar, Chief Analytics Officer at Energy Projections, is joining us now on the show. Abhishek, thank you so much for speaking with us here on India Tonight. Let's just get a sense from you on how painful this journey for crude is going to get.
Well, as we have already seen that current high oil prices are sentiment driven, and today was a very good example. And there will be further upside risk to prices as long as Russia's invasion of Ukraine continues. So the risk of international sanctions, specifically targeting Russian supplies of oil and natural gas, will increase the longer the invasion continues. And as we are seeing comments coming from the US, they are already actively discussing some sort of sanctions on supplies. Exactly what sort is going to take, we'll see over the coming days. Now, also, it has been reported that buyers are already reluctant to buy Russian oil in the fear of finding themselves at the receiving end of sanctions. So that's another concern, which is also bolstering oil prices. So what we are seeing is Russian oil has effectively become toxic. So people are very reluctant to take supplies from Russia, even though real sanctions are yet to come, considering supplies. Now, so sanctions imposed by the West so far have been unprecedented. Such as cutting off selected Russian banks from SWIFT, punitive steps targeting the Russian central bank, as well as freezing assets of some of the Russian oligarchs. Now, furthermore, recent announcements by companies such as BP, Shell, and ExxonMobil to cut their Russian ties are also significant developments that could adversely impact Russia's oil and gas sector in the medium to long term.
Abhishek, can I just ask you? Abhishek, can I just ask you? Do you think they will go ahead with it? Do you think they will really pull the plug? Because so far, people have been questioning the West's appetite to really walk the talk. So all the sanctions have come in, major MNCs are pulling out of Russia, but they continue to buy gas, they continue to buy the oil. Do you really think that they will pull the plug?
What we will see is some sort of sanctions coming forth, and that's the next natural steps, unless Russia halts its aggression in Ukraine. Now, exactly what form those sanctions are going to take, that is still being discussed. It is unlikely at this stage that US and its Western allies will try to impose a blanket sanctions on Russian exports. What is more likely is that they may impose some sanctions on Russian oil coming into individual countries. So like whatever US takes from Russia or the European Union takes from Russia. Now that in itself would be quite a significant signal to Russia to halt its operations in Ukraine.
How far can this go? I mean, we saw a sharp recovery today. I mean, I'm looking at Brent right now, close to about 120. It went as high as 130. Do you think we're going to see these wild swings or now an upward move consistently over the next few days? And what is the top that you see there, Abhishek?
So, yeah, of course, there is a possibility that oil prices can go as high as $150 per barrel. But once again, it really depends on the kind of sanctions West imposes on Russian oil supplies. There are challenges if we go down the route of imposing blanket sanctions on Russian exports, because that would mean that the West needs to gather support internationally and not just with its allies. So countries like China and India, they need to come on board if a blanket sanction is to be imposed on Russian supplies. So to effectively impose such sanctions. So yes, like we will continue to see price volatility over the coming days. And as more news about the sanctions emerge, then we will see prices rising higher.
Yep. Thank you so much, Abhishek, for joining us today.